No room for your discount store kids at this party. My sister smirked, her voice dripping with a kind of casual cruelty that only someone who shares your DNA can truly master. I stood there, frozen on her manicured lawn, watching my 7-year-old daughter, Lily, drop her hand, wrapped gift and sprint back toward our old sedan, her little shoulders shaking with the kind of deep, ragged sobs that break a parent's heart into a million pieces. My sister, Sarah, didn't even flinch. She just took a sip of her chilled Prosecco and adjusted her designer sunglasses, looking at us like we were a stain on her perfect, white, marbled life. I felt this heat rising from my chest, a mixture of blinding rage and soul-crushing humiliation that made my ears ring. Was I wrong for what I did next, or would you have burned every bridge behind you just like I did? I really need you to listen to this entire story and tell me if I went too far, because what started as a simple birthday party turned into a total war that dismantled my entire family. To understand how we got to that moment on the lawn, you have to understand the dynamic between me and Sarah. We grew up in a household that wasn't exactly poor, but we definitely knew the value of a dollar. Our parents worked hard, and we had everything we needed, but never the flashy labels or the latest gadgets. As we got older, our paths diverged in the most extreme way possible. I followed my heart and became a teacher, eventually marrying Mark, a guy who works in landscape design. We have a comfortable life, a small house with a garden Lily loves, and we prioritize experiences and kindness over things. Sarah, on the other hand, was always hungry for more, much more. She married a high-profile corporate lawyer named Julian, and it was like she flipped a switch. Suddenly, she wasn't just wealthy, she was better than everyone else. She started speaking with this affected accent, shopping only at boutiques where you need an appointment, and looking down on anything that didn't cost a month's salary. We tried to keep the peace for years, mostly for the sake of our parents, but the tension was always simmering just below the surface. The catalyst for all of this was her daughter's 8th birthday. Chloe and Lily are only a year apart, and they used to be best friends when they were toddlers. But as Sarah climbed the social ladder, she started pruning Chloe's friend group like a prize-winning rose bush. She wanted the right kind of influences around her daughter. I started noticing the subtle jabs months ago. At family dinners, Sarah would comment on Lily's clothes, asking if they were vintage, with a sneer that clearly meant second-hand. She'd talk loudly about Chloe's private equestrian lessons, and then ask me if Lily was still doing that little community center art class. I brushed it off, thinking it was just her insecurity showing, but I didn't realize how deep the rot went until the invitations for Chloe's Enchanted Garden Gala went out. The invitation itself was a heavy gold embossed card delivered by a courier. It looked more like a wedding invite than a kid's birthday party. When Lily saw it, she was over the moon. She spent 3 weeks picking out the perfect gift for Chloe. She didn't want a toy. She wanted to make something special. We spent hours in my craft room building a custom dollhouse kit, and Lily spent every evening painting tiny details and sewing little curtains. She was so proud of it. On the day of the party, she put on her favorite floral dress, the one we got on sale at a department store, but she felt like a princess in it. We pulled up to Sarah's mansion, and the driveway was lined with luxury SUV. There was a professional valet, a harpist playing by the fountain, and children running around in miniature designer suits and silk dresses. As we walked up, I could see Sarah holding court near the entrance. She looked us up and down, and the warmth drained from her face instantly. She didn't even say hello. She just looked at Lily's dress, looked at the hand-painted gift box in my arms, and then looked at me with pure disdain. That's when she said it. She leaned in, not even bothering to lower her voice, and told me there was no room for discount store kids at the party. She claimed the guest list was strictly curated, and that she must have sent us an invite by mistake, or perhaps I had misinterpreted the gesture. She told me the party was for the elite of Chloe's circle, and that Lily would just feel out of place and uncomfortable among children who had more refined tastes. Lily heard every single word. The light just died in her eyes. She looked at her dress, then at the beautiful girls in their $500 gowns, and she just broke. She dropped the gift she worked so hard on and ran. I stood there for a second, my brain trying to process that a sister could be that cruel to her own niece. Sarah just shrugged and turned back to her friends, laughing at something one of them said. I didn't cause a scene right then. I didn't scream. I just picked up the gift, walked back to the car, and held my daughter while she cried until she fell asleep in the back seat. But as I drove home, a cold, hard resolve settled in my chest. Sarah thought she could treat people like garbage because she had a big house and a bank account. She thought she could humiliate my child because we didn't play her status games. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I knew things about Sarah, things she had spent years and thousands of dollars trying to bury under her new persona. Before I tell you exactly how I took her down and the secret I revealed that shattered her perfect reputation, I want you to really think about this. I was being told my child wasn't good enough because of the price tag on her clothes. I was being treated like a stranger by my own flesh and blood. So, I'm asking you right now, pause for a second and tell me in the comments what you would have done. Would you have let it go for the sake of family peace? Or would you have made sure she regretted every word? I really want to know if you think what I did next was justified. I spent the next 48 hours being the most calculated version of myself I've ever been. You see, Sarah's perfect life was built on a foundation of lies and unpaid debts. A few years ago, before she married Julian, Sarah had gotten herself into some serious legal and financial trouble. She had embezzled a significant amount of money from a small non-profit she worked for to fund the girl a lifestyle she was desperate to project. Our parents had used their entire retirement savings to pay back the money quietly so she wouldn't go to prison, on the condition that she would eventually pay them back. Not only had she never paid them a dime back once she married into wealth, but she had also completely cut our parents off emotionally, barely visiting them and treating them like embarrassing relics of a past she wanted to forget. But that wasn't the biggest secret. The biggest secret was the charity Sarah was currently heading. She was the president of a high society foundation that raised money for underprivileged children. Ironic, right? I had recently discovered, through a friend who worked in the accounting firm Julian used, that Sarah had been using the foundation's funds to reimburse herself for personal expenses, designer dresses, travel, even the very catering for Chloe's party. She was essentially stealing from poor kids to fund her elite lifestyle. She thought she was untouchable because Julian's firm handled the oversight. I didn't go to the police first. I went to the one place Sarah feared more than anything, her social circle. I had a digital folder of evidence receipts, bank statements my friend had helped me track, and the original agreement Sarah signed with our parents. I also had a video. You see, Sarah didn't realize that my car's dashcam had been running the entire time we were in her driveway. It captured the whole exchange, her smirking, her discount, store kids a comment, and Lily's heartbreaking reaction. I created a thank you post on social media, tagging Sarah and every single one of her prominent society friends, as well as the board members of her foundation. I didn't lead with the dirt, I led with the video. I wrote a caption about how blessed we were to learn such an important lesson about class and value from my sister. I talked about how proud I was of my discount store daughter for having more grace in her pinky finger than some people have in their entire mansions. I then added a P.S. mentioning that since Sarah was so concerned with quality and integrity, I was sure she wouldn't mind me sharing the audit trail of where the foundation's recent gala funds actually went. I attached a link to a public cloud folder containing the evidence of her financial discrepancies and the proof that she had stolen our parents' retirement. The explosion was instantaneous. Within an hour, Sarah's phone was ringing off the hook. Her friends, who are really just vultures waiting for someone to stumble, turned on her in a heartbeat. By the next morning, the board of the foundation had called an emergency meeting and suspended her. Julian, terrified of the scandal touching his firm, reportedly moved into a hotel that same day. The Elite Garden Gala was the last time Sarah was ever welcomed in those circles. She was forced to step down, and under the threat of a full-scale criminal investigation, she had to pay back every cent she took from the foundation, which meant selling off a huge chunk of her personal assets. The aftermath was messy, I won't lie. Our parents were heartbroken that it came to this, but when they saw the video of what she said to Lily, they finally stopped defending her. They realized that the daughter they sacrificed everything for had become a monster. Sarah tried to call me, screaming, calling me a jealous bitch, and accusing me of ruining her life. I just told her, I didn't ruin your life, Sarah. I just let everyone see who you really are. And for the record, the discount store dollhouse Lily made for Chloe, I gave it to a little girl at the shelter. She actually knows how to appreciate a gift given with love. Today, things are much quieter. Sarah and Julian are in the middle of a very public, very nasty divorce. She lives in a small apartment now, and from what I hear, none of her refined friends will even take her calls. Lily is doing great. She's older now and understands that a person's worth isn't found in a brand name, but in how they treat others. We don't speak to Sarah anymore, and honestly, it's the most peace our family has ever had. It's a hard lesson to learn, but sometimes you have to burn down the house to get rid of the rot. I hope this story serves as a reminder that being rich has nothing to do with money and everything to do with character. If you treat people like they're disposable, don't be surprised when you're the one who ends up thrown away. Like this video if you think Sarah got exactly what she deserved, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next time someone tries to mess with the wrong person. I'd love to hear your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did I go too far by airing her dirty laundry, or was it the only way to protect my family? I'll see you all in the next story.